I end up suffering from a miscarriage after getting attacked by a rogue on the highway. At that moment, my mate, Jerry Shaw, happens to drive by me with his Omega assistant, Monica Reed. As soon as Jerry sees my white dress that's completely stained red, he covers Monica's eyes instantly, blocking her curious gaze. "Don't look. It's bad luck," he says coldly. The next second, the car speeds off. Jerry doesn't even glance in my direction. I collapse onto the ground and try to reach Jerry through our mind link. Once, twice, 10 times by the 99th attempt, there's still no response. That's when it hits me, to him, neither I nor our pup matters. That evening, I find something under the bed. It's a pair of black lace panties studded with rhinestones. It's sexy, expensive, and clearly not mine. Expressionless, I toss it into a drawer like a useless scrap of trash. Then, I call Jimmy Norwood. My voice is calm and steady as I say, "I've made up my mind. Next week, I'm leaving the pack. I'll come to your territory and start the new job." Chapter 1. It's so good to have you back, Molly. I had just hung up when Jerry Shaw stepped out of the bathroom, a towel wrapped around his waist. Steam still clung to his skin, his toned 8-pack sharply defined, his broad chest impossible to ignore. He used to never keep me waiting. But lately, his showers had gotten longer, and he'd started bringing his phone in with him. Eyes still fixed on his screen, Jerry asked absently, "Who was that?" "Jimmy Norwood from the werewolf pack. He needed me for something." He let out a vague hum, barely registering my answer. This time, I didn't even bother calling him out on it. I tapped out my resignation letter on my phone. "Why didn't you light the calming incense? You know how stressed I've been at work. I can't sleep without it." He finally looked at me, and I could see the blame in his eyes. "I was busy. I forgot." I didn't bother reacting to his tone. "Molly, I showed your test results to the doctor, and he said you just scraped your skin. Werewolves heal fast. There's nothing wrong at all. So really, there's no need to scare yourself over nothing." "Got it," I said, still typing without looking up. A silver medical kit hit my left leg during today's accident. The silver kept the wound from healing, so I ended up needing 18 stitches. The pup was already 4 weeks along. "Poor little thing," the doctor said, his voice heavy with sympathy. "Just another hour, and we probably could have saved it." The doctor's pitying look lingered in my thoughts. Jerry noticed me zoning out. His forehead wrinkled as he took a step toward me, like he was about to ask what was wrong. Then his phone buzzed. The second he saw the notification, his face brightened. He spun around and vanished into the living room. My best friend, Kate Moore, let me use her account to check out the pack's new group chat. Everyone was there, except me. My eyes locked onto a photo of a couple watching the sunset. Their silhouettes forming a heart with their hands. "Being with you is like living in a cotton candy cloud," read the caption. Golden sunlight bathed the distant mountain peaks. It was the breathtaking view I'd always dreamed of seeing. I'd begged Jerry to take me there countless times, but he was always busy. After sending a clapping emoji, I let out a wry smile. My phone buzzed with a notification. Jimmy Norwood from the werewolf pack had sent over the employment contract. Without even thinking, I clicked the link and signed. The next morning, Jerry left early and hit up the pack's go-to-dessert shop. He came back with a box of almond donuts and a mango cake. I went for the donuts, but before I could grab one, Jerry wrapped the back of my hand with a spoon, sharp enough to leave a sting. "I got the mango cake just for you. You love cream, right?" That was when it hit me. The almond donuts weren't for me. They were for Monica Reed. We've been together for 5 years, and you never knew I was allergic to mangoes. I snapped. "Take it or leave it." Are you trying to start something? Jerry snorted and got to his feet. He was about to walk out when I grabbed a bag from the drawer and hurled it at him. Since you're seeing Monica later, do me a favor and return this to her. The second Jerry spotted the panties inside, his eyes went wide with panic. I thought he was going to say something, but then he just shut his mouth. He could tell I wasn't going to argue, so he just said. Indifferently, I'll remind Monica to be more careful. I gave a hum in response. Jerry caught my expression and tried to make it right. Gather your things. I'll drive you to the clinic today. In all 5 years we were together, no matter how bad the weather got, he stuck to his role as a strict alpha, never offering me a ride to work. But the second Monica joined the pack, he dropped the act and basically became her driver, leaving me looking ridiculous. Chapter 2. The thought made my hand shake, and the cake fork slipped from my fingers, clattering to the floor. I was about to pick it up, but Jerry was already on his way out. Pack business came up. I'll drive you another time, he said, then he was gone. Alone, I headed to the clinic on crutches. Somehow, I felt all those eyes on me, heavy with pity. On my way to the medication room to grab some medication, I overheard whispers from inside. Wait, is Alpha Jerry really seeing Monica, the newcomer? Definitely. Monica twisted her ankle this morning because her heels were too high. And right in the middle of the government office lobby, Jerry put his arm around her waist, hoisted her onto his shoulder, and carried her all the way back to the office. Seriously? That's straight out of a romance movie, possessive but sweet. The tray slipped from my hands and crashed to the floor with a loud metallic clang. All the hushed conversations in the medication room stopped at once. Broken glass cut into my fingers as I scrambled to pick up the pieces. We'd been swamped with new patients all day, working non-stop well into the night. By the end of it, I just collapsed into my office chair, exhausted. Try these lemon bars I got you. Jerry popped up out of nowhere. Molly, did you not see my texts? I ignored him and checked my phone instead. His clothes reeked of women's perfume, so strong it made me wince. A message popped up on my screen. What kind of desserts do women like? I remembered something from 2 years ago. Every woman in the pack is obsessed with lemon bars lately. They say it tastes like first love, sweet and sour. I kind of want to try them too. You're almost 30. Isn't it pathetic, copying a bunch of teenage girls? Jerry muttered, giving me a look of pure disdain. But now, he showed up in the middle of the night with a whole box of them. I ignored him, flipping through my medical charts. Didn't you beg me for these before? Jerry sounded surprised I wasn't diving in. I brushed him off. It's too late. I don't eat desserts at night. After a brief silence, Jerry said, I'll pick up some pain reliever for a sprain. We can leave together in a little while. A moment later, his phone buzzed on the desk. Jerry, are you trying to dissolve my teeth with all these lemon bars? Who sends an entire batch at once? If I end up toothless, you'd better believe you're holding my hand at the dentist. After getting home in the middle of the night, I started sorting through the things I wanted to take with me. Later, Jerry finished his nightly routine and noticed my cosmetics were running low. He frowned and said, I'm going to the Eastern Pack next week to talk about a mining deal. They've got the biggest shopping mall there. Put together a list of what you want, and I'll pick it up. No, thanks. What was the point? I'd be gone soon anyway. Jerry threw his towel at my feet and pushed me down onto the bed. You've been sulking all morning just because you don't like breakfast. I'll fix that attitude for you. His breath was warm against my ear, sending a shiver down my spine. I felt his fingers slide under the hem of my nightgown. Disgust twisted in my gut. I slapped his hand away and slipped out from under him. It's late. And I've got a headache. You know I can't stand pretentious women, Molly. You went too far. Jerry sneered before slamming the door shut with a sharp bang. We'd been together for 5 years, and he had a habit of freezing me out over the smallest things. Every single time, I was the one who caved and apologized so we could move on. But those days were over. Jerry slept in the living room and never came back to bed. The next morning, I made breakfast for both of us as usual. I just set the table and was about to eat when Jerry came out of the bathroom, holding his phone up. I talked to George. You're off today. Make me a new sleep aid pillow, exactly like the last one, by 6 p.m. His tone left no room for argument. Jerry and I moved in together. He was constantly buried in work. The stress was so bad that it kept him up at night. So I gathered some herbs, mixed them in the softest down and fur I could find, and sewed him a sleep aid pillow. I spotted the totem pendant on his phone. Monica had a matching set of earrings. But I kept quiet. When Jerry seemed to realize his request was a bit much, I nodded and said, "Send me the design, and I'll take care of the materials." I wouldn't have made it out unharmed if he hadn't stepped in during the riot 5 years ago, especially without a weapon to defend myself. We were even once I finished that pillow for him. Jerry studied my downcast face, hesitating to speak. "Do you need anything else?" I asked. "The money for the materials is by the door," he said. I turned and walked outside, pulling up our message thread. A bitter laugh slipped out. I'd sent Jerry 4,310 messages, but he'd only replied 35 times. Jerry showed up at the government office only to realize I hadn't taken the $50,000 he'd offered me. I'd left it in his briefcase instead. He frowned at that. At 8 p.m., my phone rang. Jerry's name flashed on the screen. "Molly, where are you?" he asked. "What's up?" I said. "Nothing. That pillow you made is really nice." I like it a lot." His voice was soft. He paused, then added, "Thanks." I was just about to speak when Monica cut in, her voice syrupy sweet. "Molly, Jerry told me that the sleep aid pillow he gave me was actually your work. Is that true? Wow, you're incredible. I could never pull off something like that. Jerry won't let me lift a finger. He's always worried I'll wear myself out. Oh, Molly, you should come over sometime. Jerry has spoiled me with so many gifts." Every word carried a quiet dig. Jerry's voice came through. "Don't come, Molly." Then the call dropped. A little while later, he texted me the address with a quick note. "Pick up a carton of milk from the convenience store on your way." When I got to the villa, I spotted Jerry through the window. He had the pillow I'd made resting on his lap, and Monica was leaning against it, her head tilted up. She was only wearing a towel, gazing at him sweetly as she rested her hand against his chest. I knocked, and Jerry opened the door. His expression darkened when he saw me. I'd come anyway, even though I knew Monica had sent that message. "I told you not to come," Jerry said. "Sorry, Jerry. I just wanted some milk before bed, so I texted Molly." Monica pouted like a scolded child. Jerry gave her nose an affectionate boop. "You're such a foodie," he said, his voice warm. "Alpha Jerry, one of our doctors has a family emergency and needs to resign. Could you sign this for me?" I asked. Normally, when a doctor from our government-run clinic wanted to resign and leave the country, they needed office approval. But the reviewer recognized my name and rejected the request outright, leaving me only one choice. The doorway was dim. And just as I'd expected, Jerry was too busy bantering with Monica to pay attention. He signed the papers without even looking at them. Chapter 4. I was about to take back the papers when Jerry suddenly grabbed my hand. "You came all this way just for this?" he asked. I nodded. His face twisted in disgust, and he flung my hand away. He must have felt the blisters on my fingers, the ones from sewing the sleep aid pillow, and been grossed out. Monica leaned in, her eyes lighting up like she'd just found something juicy. Molly, that bracelet looks awfully familiar. Oh, right. I saw one just like it in Jerry's office trash. I ignored Jerry tugging at my sleeve and kept my tone steady. It's an old design. You can have it if you want. Monica waved a hand dismissively. No, thanks. I'm not big on dumpster treasures. I walked out of the villa and tossed the bracelet I'd worn for 5 years into the trash. By the time I got home, Mom was calling. Did you get your travel pass to return home yet? They said it'll be ready in days. Suddenly, Jerry's voice cut in from behind me. Where are you going? I hung up and didn't miss a beat. My coworker's desperate to visit family and wants to know how long the travel pass will take. Jerry turned and headed inside without another word. He was in the study, handling urgent government paperwork, while I stayed in the bedroom, skimming reports on the latest werewolf infection. By dawn, exhaustion pulled me under, and I fell asleep. I woke up the next morning to find Jerry beside me in bed, watching the morning news. Why'd you change your phone password? He asked. It used to be his birthday, but since we were ending things, I went ahead and changed it. I just felt like it. Molly, didn't you keep begging to see the circus? Well, a troupe from the south is performing today. Since Alpha had given the order, I didn't have a choice but to go. We ended up in the VIP section, with Jerry and me leaning against each other, sharing snacks and watching the show. It was the kind of romantic moment I'd always imagined. But now, with it finally happening, I couldn't feel even a hint of joy. My eyelids grew heavy, dragging me down. Jerry frowned when he noticed how distracted I was. You used to love the circus. Not anymore. No, I do. It's fun, I replied. He must have sensed my impatience because he paused, lips parting like he wanted to say something. But before he could, his phone rang. Without a word, he got up and left. The seat beside me stayed empty all the way until the show ended. I was just about to call Jerry when I heard a familiar, sweet voice behind me. Jerry, you're seriously the best. I turned and saw a group of performers putting on a show just for Monica. She laughed and threw her arms around Jerry's neck. You deserve a reward for this. Then she kissed him square on the cheek before burying herself in his arms. He held her by the waist, smiling until he spotted me. His smile dropped instantly. Monica stared at me, surprised. Molly, you came to see the circus too. A moment later, she gasped, embarrassed, and covered her face before pushing Jerry away. Don't get the wrong idea, Molly. This is all on me. I just got carried away earlier, so Jerry ran a hand through her hair, his voice soft. You didn't do anything wrong. Then, like it was no big deal, he turned to me and asked, did the circus already finish? I didn't even get a chance to speak before the loudspeakers crackled to life. We regret to inform our honored guests that 3 cheetahs have escaped their enclosures. Trainers are currently searching for them. For your safety, please move to a secure area immediately. The crowd exploded into panic, people scattering in all directions. Before I could process what was happening, Jerry threw an arm around Monica and rushed her toward the VIP section. 5 minutes later, the alert was called off. The cheetahs had been tranquilized and secured. Jerry returned to where we'd been standing and looked around for a long time, but I was already gone. 2 hours later, I was at the immigration checkpoint, holding my travel pass. Jerry wouldn't stop calling me while I waited for the bus. Not wanting to hear his voice again, I silenced my phone. His voice buzzed through the mind link. Molly, why aren't you answering? We're done. I cut the connection without hesitation. Then I yanked out the SIM card, dropped it in the trash, and stepped onto the bus back home. I got to the Werewolf Pack's border checkpoint in the middle of the night. As soon as I handed over my travel pass, I spotted Dad smiling and waving me over. I got into his car, noticing a big bag on the seat, stuffed with all my favorite candies and pastries. Mom was sitting beside me, unwrapping a piece of candy before popping it into my mouth with a happy smile. When I noticed the faint lines at the corners of Mom's eyes, everything I'd been holding back just came pouring out. I never want to leave again. I just want to stay with you and Dad forever. A sob tore out of me as I buried my face in her arms, tears running down my cheeks. Oh, sweetheart. No matter where you go, you'll always be our dearest Molly. Dad didn't press me. He could tell I was upset, so he just let it be. After reaching home, I found the dining table laden with all my favorite dishes. Later that night, I got into bed and opened a video app, ready to unwind with a movie. But before I could start watching, a bunch of messages popped up. Kate was shocked that I'd left so suddenly, and seemed genuinely worried. Did something happen? Whatever it is, you have to tell me. Don't keep it to yourself. I started typing a reply, but then another message came through. This time, a video. Molly, this clip of Jerry and Monica is blowing up in private groups. I hesitated, but ended up hitting play anyway. The video showed surveillance footage of an office, where only 3 people were present, Jerry, Monica, and the travel pass reviewer. Jerry stared at the paper in his hand, clearly fuming. It was the travel pass I'd submitted. The reviewer kept talking nervously, his face apologetic as he lowered his head. With a sharp motion, Jerry slammed the travel pass down on the desk. 2 minutes and 15 seconds later, Jerry finally waved the reviewer off. The reviewer let out a relieved sigh and hurried away. Monica stood beside Jerry, handing him a cup of coffee with a tight smile. His arm shot out, knocking the cup to the floor, and she stumbled back, startled. He stayed on his feet, eyes locked on his phone, not even noticing the coffee dripping down his shirt. At first, his face brightened, something on the screen had excited him. But then his expression twisted, his brows furrowing into a scowl. His features had gone cold when he set the phone down. Monica stepped closer, reaching out to wrap her arms around Jerry's shoulders. She was about to speak when he suddenly hurled his phone at the office screen. Sparks flew as glass shattered and scattered across the room. Monica's face paled with fear. She stumbled back, tears streaming down her face, but didn't see the chair behind her. She tripped and fell. Jerry turned and started toward her. Then the video cut out. I was certain Jerry would sweep her into his arms. He'd apologize, fuss over her, and spoil her with gifts to make it up to her. I texted Kate back. Even if we're not in the same pack anymore, you're always welcome to visit. I hope to see you again soon. I'd been glowing since I returned home. Mom and Dad were spoiling me rotten, just like when I was a kid. At a get-together with my childhood friends, they wouldn't let up. Did you invent some magic beauty potion or what? Come on, share the secret. We all want that glow. Nope. I'm just happy. I guess it shows. We kept joking around until my phone buzzed. An unknown number popped up on the screen. I'd only had this new number for 2 days, so it was probably some telemarketer. I swiped to end the call. The get-together had been wonderful, and my friends didn't want me to go. I'd only been home for a few minutes when the doorbell rang. Thinking it was the clothes I'd ordered the day before, I hurried to answer it. That was fast, but it was Jerry, standing right there on the doorstep. I froze, completely caught off guard. How did you even find my parents' house? The last person I ever wanted to see was him. Jerry's eyes were intense. The second he saw me trying to slam the door, he shoved his hand into the gap, forcing it back open with sheer stubbornness. He looked haggard. "Molly, why are you ignoring my calls?" My chest was tight with emotion, but I forced out every word without flinching. "We're done. Get lost. And if you don't want broken fingers, let go." He laughed like I just told a joke. Snorting, he yanked harder at the door. "Done? Since when? And who decided that?" Chapter 6. "I already told you we're done," I said. "How could you even show up here after that? Let me say it to your face, it's over. Listen, we're finished." Jerry's face darkened, his expression twisting in disbelief. "It doesn't count unless I agree." What the hell did I even do? "You're just being dramatic." I couldn't believe his nerve. Before I could fire back, Mom's voice cut in. "Molly, who are you talking to? Why aren't you inside yet?" "It's nothing, Mom. It's just the delivery guy dropping off my clothes. Actually, I'm craving donuts. I'm going to get to the dessert shop. Don't worry." Without thinking, I pushed Jerry out the door. Keeping a straight face, I said, "Don't bother my parents. Let's talk outside." We ended up at a dessert shop. "You dyed your hair?" he asked softly. Jerry was usually distant, but when he saw my sullen face, he actually gave me his first ever compliment, his tone almost sweet. "The blonde suits you. It makes you glow." He had always loved women with black hair. I'd gone to the salon every month, spending 4 hours dyeing my long, waist-length hair black, just to please him. I kept it up for 5 years. Once, he even promised to make me a hairpin, but he never did. The server handed us the menus. "What can I get for you?" To my surprise, Jerry didn't even wait for me to answer. He just went ahead and ordered my usual, hot cocoa and a slice of my favorite cake. "You've lost weight, Molly," he said. "This'll have to do for now. But tomorrow, when you come home with me, I'm taking you to that fancy new dessert place." I couldn't help but laugh. "Since when do we have a home?" "Jerry, as far as everyone else is concerned, we're just dating." For a second, he looked like it had just clicked. Then he chuckled. 5 years, Molly. If you wanted a mate bond ceremony, you could have just asked. Did you really have to make a whole production out of it? Did you think I'd say no?" I reached into my handbag and pulled out the employment contract I'd signed just the day before. Then, I slapped it onto the table. "Take a good look. I'm not going anywhere." Jerry's gaze dropped to the paper, and his expression turned stormy. "I know you're the Pax Alpha, Jerry. I know how much your pride means to you. Even if you don't love me, you'd never stomach being dumped by some nobody. So here's the deal, I'll tell everyone you ended things. Or you can break up with me right now, and I won't argue. Would that make you happy?" All I wanted was to get out of there as soon as possible. Chapter 7. Jerry stayed silent. The sky darkened, and my patience was running out. "If you're not going to say anything, I'll take that as agreement," I said. Jerry's face fell when I got up to leave, a flicker of panic in his eyes. He sounded genuinely sorry for the first time in our 5 years together. "Molly, I know I've been buried in work and haven't been there for you. I get it if you want to walk away over this. We can pretend nothing happened if you just come home with me. I really miss your cooking." I got so annoyed when he brought up my cooking that I couldn't stop myself from rolling my eyes. 2 months earlier, Jerry sent me a message out of nowhere. He told me to go to the borderland hunting grounds, buy fresh venison, and make him a stew. But I was sick that day, burning up with fever and shivering from the cold. Still, I dragged myself through pouring rain to get there anyway. The weather was so awful that none of the hunters had even bothered to go out, so I had to hunt myself. The fields were so soaked and muddy that I nearly slipped off a hillside and died. My face was pale as a sheet, and my legs almost buckled as I carried the freshly made venison stew to the address Jerry had given me. Just then, Jerry and Monica came into view, walking my way. She rushed over and snatched the stew right out of my hands. "Thanks, Molly. Bella loves your venison stew." "Steamed cod is her second favorite," Monica said sweetly. The Bella she was talking about was their house cat. Without missing a beat, she dumped the stew I'd worked so hard on straight into the pet's bowl. "I'm taking Monica to a new restaurant. Clean up after the cat's done," Jerry told me. The memory flashed through my mind. I stared at him and made sure to emphasize every word. "I'm not going back with you. Stop flattering yourself. This is where I belong. Get a grip. I don't care about your mate bond ceremony. We're done. I don't feel anything for you anymore." Jerry went silent, his face turning bright red before he scoffed. "You don't feel anything? After just a few days? Come on, you can't even lie right. 5 years together, and you move on that fast. You're the liar, Jerry. You were done with me long before this. You used me like a maid, took advantage of my love. But Monica? You're obsessed with her. You'd give her the world if you could. Just admit you cheated. You're in love with her. You treated her like a queen before everyone, and wouldn't let me go. You played us both. You broke me and made me cry every single day. Did you enjoy messing with my feelings?" For 5 years, I'd given myself over completely to Jerry, never complaining, and always bending to his will. But now, I dropped my usual softness and spoke with a sharpness he'd never heard from me before. His face paled to a sickly gray. He hesitated before speaking in a rough voice. "Molly, you've got it all wrong. I didn't betray you. There's just something I never told you. I had a sister, Alice. She died suddenly. It was like having her back when Monica treated me like a brother. That's why I wanted to give her everything I could. You probably think I'm lying, but I swear I'm not." He reached into his jacket, pulled out his wallet, and carefully took out the only family photo with Alice in it. Chapter 8. Jerry spoke earnestly, but I barely heard a word. My attention kept slipping toward the window, restless and impatient. "What you think about Monica doesn't matter. Even if she weren't involved, I'd still break up with you," I said. The conversation was over, and I rose to go. Before I could reach the door, Jerry grabbed me from behind, his arms tightening around me. "We've been in love for 5 years. How can you just forget? Your eyes were so bright that first night. You held me and told me how much you loved me. You said you'd be happy just being there for me, that all you wanted was to stay by my side." I pulled free and gave him a cold look. "Jerry, you should know better than to trust a woman's promises when she's in love. 5 years or 50, it wouldn't make a difference. I'd walk away just as easily then as I am now." I'd never been so harsh with him. He hesitated for a moment before finally letting go. "All right, Molly. Just remember, you're not as important as you think. I hope you don't regret this later." Jerry swallowed hard, his voice rough but just shaky enough to notice. Without looking back, he walked out of the shop before I could. I let out a breath, the tightness in my chest finally loosening. I needed to end our mate bond for good tomorrow. The witch handed me the potion and studied me closely. "Drinking this will sever your mate bond. Are you sure about this?" "I've made up my mind to go through with it. I deserve a fresh start." Without another thought, I tipped the vial back and drank it all. My wolf howled inside me, thrashing in agony. This was the cost of my freedom, and I'd pay it. Time flew by, and before I knew it, my first day at the new job had arrived. My colleagues welcomed me warmly, and it felt like my life was finally getting back on track. I used to think those painful memories would stay with me forever, that I'd never be able to move on. But with the support of family and friends, and as time passed, I healed faster than I expected, leaving the past behind me. The only downside was how often people got hurt at the hunting grounds here. It kept me so busy that I'd lose track of time and end up working late. Sometimes, the exhaustion made me feel sick. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. A little over a month later, Jimmy, the alpha of the werewolf pack, invited me to join him for an outing in the hunting grounds. We'd grown up together, but after I met Jerry, I moved to another pack and we lost touch. Jimmy was thrilled when he heard I was coming back, and kept asking me out to eat every now and then. He'd always been a bit of a dummy back when we were still pups. He was strong as an ox but slow on the uptake when it came to studying. I used to tutor him at his place, so I was honestly surprised when he ended up becoming the pack's alpha, loved by everyone. Now that you're back, you should settle down and stay. You don't have to leave again. I'll protect you. No one's going to make you suffer anymore as long as I'm around, said Jimmy. My cheeks warmed, and I nudged him with my elbow. Look at you, all high and mighty. Becoming alpha really turned you into a proper leader. You're so grown up now. I laughed. He lowered his gaze, his eyes softening as they met mine. Molly, you, before he could finish, a sudden force yanked me backward, throwing me off balance. Then warmth pressed against my back as I stumbled into a man's chest, a familiar scent wrapping around me. Chapter 9. Jerry, what are you doing here? I asked. He should have been back at our old place, hugging Monica, soaking in their sweet love story. Jerry ignored my question and hit me with a cold stare. Molly, it's been a month. I gave you all this time, and you're still throwing a tantrum. Even if you're pissed, you should have gotten over it by now. He shot Jimmy a sideways look and snorted, like he had any right to act possessive. I was about to tell Jerry he was crazy for spouting nonsense when a sickly sweet voice came. Jerry's had people watching over you all month, Molly. He just can't stand to be without you. First, Monica shot me a glare. Then she plastered on a smile so fake it looked painful. Here, eat this buttercream cake, then go home with Jerry, okay? Can you forgive us for not considering how you felt? Her fake concern made me sick. Fine. Jerry, let me go first. Then we'll figure this out, I said. Thinking I'd given in, Jerry loosened his grip. The second he did, I snatched the cake from Monica's hands and smashed it into her face. She shrieked, clawing cream from her face as a nearby deer, startled, bolted from its grazing. Nearby tourists stopped and stared, eyes wide with curiosity. Hey, look! She just got cake-faced. A few people burst out laughing at Monica, who was a complete disaster. Monica was sobbing, desperate to throw herself into Jerry's arms, but the second she turned, I grabbed her by the hair. Seriously, Monica, are you 5? All you do is whine, Jerry, Jerry on repeat. And what was that look you gave me earlier? Did your eyelid spasm or something? Calling up the same raw instinct I'd used in every fight when we were still pups, I yanked her back and cracked her with a series of stinging slaps. Before she could catch her breath, I hooked my foot behind her ankle and sent her crashing to the ground. Crying, Monica crawled toward Jerry, but he backed away, leaving her clutching at nothing instead of his leg. She stared up at him, shocked. Jerry didn't even look at her. He walked right over to me. Molly, I already told Monica I only see her as a sister. I won't touch her in a way that makes you uncomfortable again. Jerry moved to pull me into an embrace, but Jimmy stepped between us, his eyes sharp with warning. Molly never said you could put your hands on her. The words had barely left Jimmy's mouth when Jerry's body twisted, muscles surging as he shifted into a 7-foot gray wolf. In a flash, he slammed Jimmy to the ground. Jimmy transformed just as fast, his black wolf crashing into Jerry's. The two massive beasts tore at each other, snarls ripping through the air. I lunged forward, trying to drag them apart, but failed. I had no choice but to shift, my white wolf clamping down on the scruff of Jerry's neck. This time, he didn't resist. He stilled, then shifted back into his human form. The two alphas, each from a different pack, regained their composure and exchanged cold stares. Jerry, you're an alpha. Act like one. Chapter 10. Jerry stared at me in disbelief, touching the bleeding bite mark on the scruff of his neck. He didn't move, as if he couldn't believe I was really walking away from 5 years together. Did I never love him? That was ridiculous. Anyone who knew us could see how much I cared. I never said no to Jerry. No matter what he asked, I always gave in. So he assumed I'd never walk away as long as he stayed. He took love for granted, never imagining it could just end. Worried, I reached out to check Jimmy's injuries, but he grabbed my shoulders instead. He spun me around and asked if I was hurt. Nearby, Jerry watched us, his hands clenched into fists, his eyes blazing. "Molly," he shouted, his voice rough. "We loved each other for 5 years. How could you throw that away for some stranger?" I let out a sharp laugh. "Jerry, are you deaf?" "Fine, I'll say it again, I'm done with you. I don't feel anything for you anymore." Without another word, I looped my arm through Jimmy's and walked away. Jerry's emotions spilled over, tears streaming down his face as he choked out, "Molly Baxter, I love you. I can't lose you." He dropped to his knees, clutching my wrist, and cried my name with so much raw pain that it stunned me. I'd never seen him like this, completely shattered. The proud, arrogant alpha I once knew was gone. "I'm sorry, Molly. I never should have touched your friend. Hit me, yell at me, do whatever you want. Just don't shut me out. Please believe me. I don't love Monica. I didn't cheat." I sighed and kept my voice steady. "Enough. It doesn't matter to me." Jerry's voice shook as he kept shaking his head. "I'll change, Molly. I swear. I know you're still mad at me. What I did was wrong. I promise it'll never happen again. Just give me one more chance. I mean it this time. Please, Jerry, I already told you, we're over. Leave me alone." Monica reached for his arm, but he pushed her away, his voice turning vicious. "This is your fault, you bitch. You're the one who messed everything up. Get the hell away from me. Just go." Watching the ridiculous scene, I took Jimmy's hand and walked off like nothing had happened. He'd set up a private lounge and taken me to see the most breathtaking sunset at the hunting grounds. 2 months later, late one night, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Half asleep, I answered. It was Jerry, and his voice was slurred. "Did we ever have a pup?" He was obviously drunk. He must have come across the clinic report I'd left behind. I didn't hesitate. "Yeah. The pup's gone, Jerry. There's nothing holding you back now." The line went quiet, except for the wind howling in the background. I hung up. The following spring, I heard from Kate that Jerry had started drinking heavily. He drove under the influence, crashed his car, and ended up in a vegetative state. As for Monica, she'd lost everything. They caught her secretly funneling government money, and she ended up in prison. "Molly, are you all right?" Jimmy asked, noticing me drifting off. We were in a private room at an upscale restaurant. I lifted my glass of red wine and looked out of the window. I'm fine. The view's gorgeous tonight. Jimmy slipped his coat around my shoulders and pulled me close, brushing a soft kiss against my forehead. Every place looks beautiful when I'm with you, Molly. But nothing's as beautiful as you, he said, his voice deep and warm. A waiter opened the door to the private room. Here's the custom 5-tier cake you ordered, decorated with fruit, just like you asked. The candles were already lit, their flames dancing gently. Jimmy took my hand and guided me out to the balcony. A sea of roses spread out below us. He got down on one knee and held out a ring, his eyes filled with love. I love you, Molly. I'll make you the happiest Luna in the world. The waitresses pressed their hands to their mouths, eyes shining with awe and envy as they looked on, more excited than I was. I smiled as Jimmy slid the ring onto my finger. Surrounded by 9,999 roses, I said, sure. Happiness was like sand in my palm. The tighter I held on, the faster it slipped through my fingers. All I could do was enjoy the moment before it faded away. For now, all I wanted was to bask in the joy and love surrounding me.